Hey folks, Dr. Rob Jones here, HeyDrRob.com with my good friend Lisa Allen. Again, continuing to document her awesome progression from pain and no function to great posture, ability to lift, ability to have no pain. Okay, so again, we talked about stability, mobility. Her ankle was good, we didn't need to work on that. Her knee was pretty stable, she fortunately doesn't have knee problems. Her hips were a little stiff, we've loosened those up. We, of course, started with intra-abdominal pressure and we got her thoracic spine functioning because we want to have mobility, stability, mobility. Now, once we've accomplished that and once we've accomplished a really good core contraction and intra-abdominal pressure knowledge so she can feel when it's happening and she's protected all the way around, we have to access the glutes. We have to get our power standing up, sitting down from a chair, from our glutes, without changing back position, okay? A lot of people will come in and go, oh, it hurts so bad, Dr. Rob, when I sit down, oh, and when I stand up, well, it's because they're loading their spine. All you gotta do is intra-abdominal pressure, chest up, neutral, use your glutes, stand up, sit down. Pretty simple, okay? But it's hard sometimes when you've been in chronic pain and you can't access those glutes, when your brain literally shuts those glutes off. So we have to really use bands and very special exercises to get them back on. So we're going to show you the progressions here, how we tie in intra-abdominal pressure to getting the glutes. And then I'm going to have Lisa talk about the epiphany she had when she finally went, aha, I can feel my glutes. So we're just going to do a basic bridge to start. So let's go ahead and lie on your back. Okay, I always like to use a band like this. It doesn't matter what type of band you use. This is from Perform Better. You can use a hip circle, you can use bigger bands and tie them, but basically you can go above your knee or below the knee. I actually like it right below the knee, top of the band touching the bottom of the patella. Okay, so the reason we put the band here is glutes are extensors, okay, and they're also abductors. When people aren't using their glutes, they almost always get a hamstring cramping sensation and literally a cramp when they do a bridge. So we always have to start with a band so we can teach people to get into that abduction. Now, we don't want to flatten this part of the spine to the ground. Remember, we don't want to lose lordosis. We want to keep some. But we also don't want to be hyper-arched because when you hyper-arch, you actually inhibit the glutes and you hypercontract the psoas, you're going to turn on the hamstrings, which is what we don't want. What we do want is ribs down, exactly what Lisa just did, intra-abdominal pressure. Now what I do with my rookies or people who don't really know how to do this well is I'll have them keep their fingers into their abs and say, keep pushing your abs into your fingers. Keep that intra-abdominal pressure and breathe. Now what we're going to do is we're going to push to the side and we're going to lift up. So let's bring your belly button to my hand. Good. And as long as we feel contraction on the outside and underneath, we know we have good glute contraction. Now, if you want to get a hamstring cramp, let your knees come together on the way down. You're going to get a hamstring cramp. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cue her to pull her knees apart as she lowers down with intra-abdominal pressure. Okay? So you get good at doing that until your butt gets really tired, and then we start doing some progressions from there. So Lisa's a beast, she's already crushed this, so now we're going to start doing some variants from side to side. So let's pick this foot up off the ground just a couple of inches. Now you can see she spread her arms out here to get a little bit more stability because we've taken away some base of support. Same setup, ribs down, intra-abdominal pressure, driving the knees apart. Let's lift this up. Now we're focusing on this glute. Now I want you to go 1, 2, 3, hold, and then down, 1, 2, 3. Good. Up. 1, 2, 3, hold, feel for all the glute, down, 1, 2, 3, and then we would switch, okay? So you work on those, you get the glutes firing, and then you can start to access and feel, oh my gosh, I'm using my glutes. Now we can start getting into some more advanced type movements, like a hip thruster on a bench. Okay, let's get you up and get you on this. And if you watch how well she stands up here, she will not jack her back up because she knows how to spare her spine. So, hip thruster, you can do this from a bench like this, you can do this from a stable structure like a bed, a couch, or whatever, but what we want to make sure we do here is we pivot through the upper back, okay? So, we're going to lay Lisa down here, basically around her shoulder blades, okay? Now the same setup is gonna happen, okay? But the great thing about this, there's more hip mobility than there is on a bridge, okay? Same setup. Intra-abdominal pressure is really gonna bring the ribs down. Now we're gonna drop the hips down as the knees come apart. We don't have to go quite to the ground, but a pretty good deep amount of hip flexion. Then we're gonna drive the knees open to lift this up. And let's go down. And let's go up. Now you can see that she's only moving through her hips and nothing else is moving. So I noticed on her that she was moving her spine, okay? And then she ended up figuring this out on her own. She had this epiphany, but why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
Well, I don't want to do it, but I had been setting up correctly, but I had been doing more pelvic tucking and not pivoting from my shoulders.
Right, so in essence, she was on the bench. Right, so she in essence was going extension, flexion, extension, flexion. And as she just said, I interrupted her, sorry.
That's all right.
It was hurting her back. So she realized the pivot has to come from her edge of her spine on the bench while nothing else moves except for the hips right there. So you're getting a ton of glute work, especially if you're pulling the knees this way. Now, what's this analogous to? What I just talked about. When you sit down into a chair, your knees should come apart and you should hinge down, hinge back up without any spinal movement at all. Now, because Lisa was stronger and she was crushing this pretty quickly, we ended up putting some weight on her. So I'm gonna grab a dumbbell here. So you can start, obviously a little bit lighter. We talked about not being a world beater. Lisa's doing this with over 100 pounds now. This is a 35, but you can handle more weight than you really think you can on this. If you want to start with a 10, a 15, a 20, because if you're doing it basically with just the body weight and the band and it's easy, and you can do 2 or 3 sets of 20 and you're not even tired, then it's probably trying to put some weight on there. So with the weight on there, we start doing supersets. So we would do, 8, 10, 12 reps with the weight, again, focusing on all the same things. And then we take the dumbbell off. Now we continue to go. Let's keep going. So superset. Okay, we continue to go here until she's tired. So butt should be burning a little bit right now. She didn't think she was going to get a workout in today. Okay, let's have you sit up. So those are some of the best progressions you can do, because once you learn how to activate that intra-abdominal pressure so the spine doesn't move, and then you access the glutes through these type of exercises, you can translate those into standing up and sitting in down and getting into a squat. Now, we have to include some side bridging as well, because what we just did works a little bit of glute medius and a lot of glute maximus. On these next exercises, we have to really get glute medius firing, because when you're about to do a squat or a deadlift, you have to learn how to get into what we call abduction of the femur, which is this way here to load glutes on the medius side, the outside, so glute maximus can pull your hip through. So let's go down and do a half side bridge. Okay, so here's our progression on the half side bridge. I can take that from you. So all we're going to do is we're going to start just in this half position. You can see Lisa likes to pack her neck in. Most people, when they lay down, the spine is going to sag like this. So I usually tell people, pick your rib cage up a little bit. Let's establish intra-abdominal pressure. Now, if we don't have any pain, we're ready to go. We're going to push this knee and this foot to the ground, and we're going to try and take that lower right hip in that direction until we're in a straight line from the abs to the quads. Now we're going to lower this leg, push this knee in the ground where we lower the hip down, and there's your basic half side bridge. Okay, let's do that one more time. Knee to the ground, hip forward, keeping the intra-abdominal pressure, hinging back here, and go ahead and come back. Now, Lisa's a beast, so we progressed her pretty quickly. So this leg now comes up. Now we do the exact same thing. Up, and if you notice, nothing is moving, only the left hip. So let's sit back now. So it's a nice controlled pace, 3 to 4 count up, 3 to 4 count down, really pushing this knee, this ankle, and foot into the ground. And that is going to light up your glute medius. Okay? Now let's flip you over because you're probably pretty tired. Even Lisa gets tired. we're gonna add the next progression, okay? We're gonna add in that glute medius activation, but we're gonna add in a front roll here now, okay? So let's go through the same checklist. Ribs are up, intra-abdominal pressure, knee into the ground, foot into the ground. Now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a little hip airplane. We're gonna roll forward, then we're gonna roll back, now we're gonna sit back. Now, you gotta be pretty strong to do this, and you can get there, but you gotta work to it. Now hold on one sec. Let's pretend the belly button is a flashlight and it's going forward. We wanna move the rib cage and pelvis together. Move the flashlight so it's pointing towards the ground. She's only moving through her left hip here. We're gonna rotate back. Now we're gonna sit back. There you go. Now go ahead and stand up. Now usually what I like to do with my patients after I teach them these progressions is have them do a little, just bit of a half squat. Once I taught them how to get their feet translated into the ground and we know the proper standing up position, just do a little half squat. And you'll notice naturally her knees are going to come out this way, sparing her spine, movement through her hips only, generated by the glute maximus, controlled by the glute medius. You feel all this coming online? We call the glutes online when this happens. You should be able to feel them with every step you take. There should be a subtle little contraction here, subtle little contraction here, and then specifically as you're sitting back. So there you go. If you want to make sure that you're progressing properly, follow this video. So we go bridge with a band, bridge with a single leg, and then the hip thruster, then a hip thruster with some weight, and then a half side bridge, and then the half side bridge with the leg up, and then the half side bridge with a roll. You do that, and you're gonna be fit as a fiddle, just like Miss Lisa here.
And one thing I want to mention, when you're doing half side bridges, don't just start rolling through them. Make absolutely sure that you're pinning the lower knee down and pushing away. If you don't feel your glute distinctly, you're not pushing hard enough.
It's a great tip. A lot of people will just try to accomplish the motion. When you're on your side, you have to drive the knee this way to get this to turn on, because that, again, is your analogy for what you need to do when you squat. You've got to get your glutes set so they can translate through the hip joints so you get up and down. So there you go. There's our handy kind of glute intra-abdominal pressure tie-in tips for the day. Keep following us for more Lisa Allen's story. You can get Lisa, you can start following her at Lisa Allen Fitness, and of course you can like and subscribe to our stuff. And don't forget to follow us on the socials, and as always, don't forget to protect your back.